Welcome back to the Fit Life Orange County podcast. I'm your host, Jake Stewart. In today's episode, we sit down with Chris, who tells her incredible life story from eating disorders to now being super healthy and loving life. Without further ado, let's jump right into it.
Here is Bryce Henson and Jake Stewart, your host of the Fit Life Orange County.
We're back in the studio today, and we have Chris here with us. Chris, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Jake.
I'm so excited to have you here with us. Now, I'm sure the audience is curious. Obviously, I've known you for a couple months now. I've known a little bit about, but I'm curious to learn even more. Tell the audience a little bit about yourself. You know, what does your life look like up until this point?
Well, I like to start out by saying I'm 69, so it's never too late to come into a gym absolutely new and actually recovering from something pretty big. I grew up in England most of my life, and there were 4 of us siblings, but my parents gave each child up to an orphanage as they had them. And so I grew up. It was an awkward life, and it left me feeling, terribly insecure about myself. I have what I call the disease of lookism, and that was that everything was about my looks, because I thought that I wasn't liked because I was unattractive or I was too fat. I assigned all the dislike about myself to my body image. That was everything to me. And I grew up in a children's home where there were a lot of overweight children. And looking back, I've only got 2 pictures of me under 17, but looking back, I was not an overweight child, but I felt overweight. And to this day, I still look at that and wonder what that was really about. But I really felt like most of my life I was struggling to find myself. Definitely. And so I left England. When I was 22, I found out I had a sister, and she was living in San Diego, California. And I saw a picture of her, and we looked identical. She's 8 years older than me. And that was my next thing. So I was in college. I worked for British Petroleum Oil Company. I worked in accounting department, and it wasn't a good fit. I was bubbly and laughing, and they wanted someone a little bit more serious. And they suggested I go into sales. Sales wasn't me either, but so I came over here, found my sister, and began working out, actually. I was a gymnast in school, but when I got here, my sister belonged to a gym. I don't think anybody would remember Jack LaLanne's. But that was the gym in San Diego, and I did that for a few years and then moved on to Gold's Gym. And I went to school, put myself through school, got 2 degrees, I decided, I was working at the same time, so it was a lot. It was a lot to take on. But I was hungry for relationship, really hungry for intimacy and closeness and companionship, but I didn't really feel like I knew how to attain it. I was very outgoing and friendly, but I felt like I was almost too deep for people. And I felt they were kind of shallow because they didn't want to go any deeper than the surface. And I wanted to talk about underneath. So I think that's what drew me to psychology. That's where I got my degrees. And I started working in the field in San Diego. I ran very large treatment facilities and just kept climbing the ladder. I ran lockdown facilities. But I wanted to recover from my own eating disorder. I was a bulimorexic. And so I ran 15 miles a day without fail, 7 days a week.
Oh, wow.
For many, many years until I was 54. And that was my way of feeling good about my body. I knew that if I ran, if I didn't eat much, I would get the body I wanted. The body I wanted was the body I thought everybody would like. I wanted to be thin, very thin, and I always saw my body as like a piece of art. I dressed funky. I was different to other people, and I wanted to be. I celebrated my differences. But underneath, I was so different that I thought, is there something wrong with me? Is it okay to be this different? I wore Doc Martens when Doc Martens weren't even in. Funky T-shirts, and I had colored hair, and I had black hair down here, and I was, and travel. I traveled all over the world. Every holiday, every chance I got, I traveled.
Totally.
So that's what brought me to the States and to the life I had, a fairly good living, bought a house, had a dog, all the things people do when you're young and growing and looking for a direction. And when I was in my 40s, I was diagnosed with lupus and psoriatic arthritis, which usually go together. Didn't know what it was, but I had it. And that changed my life. I couldn't run. I was in and out of hospitals for 15 years. I did chemo for 3 years, 3 separate years. Every time it came out really bad, where I couldn't walk at all, I'd go on chemo. And eventually got sick from the chemo, so I couldn't do chemo anymore. I became allergic to it. So I have actually almost died probably 10 times, and I mean literally.
Wow.
I've actually died twice, and they brought me back.
No way.
And one of them was a speaking engagement to about 3,000 people in Newport Beach. I was just standing on the stage, passed out.
Oh, wow.
And I woke up with a pacemaker.
Oh, wow.
To add to my, stuff. And then I started worrying, I don't want this to define me. I don't want my illness or inability to exercise to define me. And I started gaining weight because I couldn't do anything. And I got up to 200 pounds, the heaviest I'd ever been. And I got really, really depressed. But I couldn't show it because I work in the business. I didn't want anybody to know. And that was the part of me that I had a hard time handling, was my own secrecy about my failures, or what I saw as failures. I kept a secret. And then I started to teach myself that unless you failed, you can't win. And the only person you can win against is yourself. And the only way to fail is not to try. So I just literally said, Chris, you got to take control of this. You can't be defined by your past. You can't be defined by what you would like to have in the future. What can you do right now? How can you stay in just today? Because that's all you have. You might not wake up tomorrow. You've got a health problem that could take you any day. And I started living those thoughts while I was in bed. I stopped working. I'm married. My husband, he was a CEO of a corporation here. And so I basically stayed in bed for about 7 years until a year ago. And I came off all meds. And I went through a rough patch, but I came off the meds and my life started to change. And then one day, 4 months ago, I saw a Facebook ad, and it said, Fit Body Forever, Fit Body 55. And I was like, wait a minute, I'm probably too old for that. And I went, God, Fit Body, people for over 50, they have something for people over 55. So I remember calling, and the gentleman that answered was so nice. And he just said, why don't you just come down and check us out? You don't have to join, there's no commitment. And I was thinking, God, I don't want to cost my husband any more money. I don't know if other people feel that way, but I just didn't want to spend the money. And so I came down, I said, do you take Medicare and Health Net? Because that's what I have. And they said, yes. Okay. So I said, I looked around watching what people were doing, and I thought, oh my God, that's way beyond. I mean, I just practically got out of bed a year ago. So I was like, I don't think I can do that. And the gentleman, his name was John, said to me, you can do anything you put your mind to. And I said, God, I've been telling myself that, but can I? And he said, why don't you show up Monday, the following Monday, meet the group of women and see what you think. And I can tell you, I walked in this door, that door over there, and at least 8 women came over to me, all the coaches as well, and said, "Oh, you must be new. Are you Chris?" And I was like, "Have you ever been to a gym where somebody knew your name?" It sounds like that Cheers
Yeah,
thing.
everywhere everybody knows your
Everybody
name.
knows your name. Well, that's how it was for me.
Yeah.
And that got me because I've been kind of a loner. I don't look a loner. I'm outgoing, I'm expressive, but I am a loner outside of the things that I do. So I was like, oh my God, what is this? And so I started joining the exercise. And they had the gym set out, and I didn't know you did it as a group and you broke up into things. I didn't know they did a warm up for 15 minutes. And I mean, they were doing it right. Let's say I exercised for 30 odd years. I wasn't trying to exercise right. I was out to beat my body up so that I could have the thinness that I dreamed of. I never once thought, well, when you get thin, what are you going to do then? I mean, why the goal to be thin? I just wanted to be thin, and that was my drive. And I did anything to achieve. I was a dieter, a non-stop, damaging my body dieter. I starved myself, I binged, I threw up, I did anything to look good on the outside. I never took care of the inside that much.
Coach Bryce here. Now, you might know me as the co-host of this podcast and the owner of Mission Viejo Fit Body. But what many people don't know is that began my fitness journey as a fitness transformation. Now, you see, circuit training and nutrition coaching absolutely changed my life after being overweight with a diet of mainly fast food in my late teens. Now, upon my fitness transformation in early 2007, yes, I gained a much better physique as I was overweight and I lacked lean muscle. But way more than burning fat and building lean muscle, I increased my self-confidence, my energy, and my vibrancy to live life on life's terms. Now, it's for these reasons that many people join our boot camp. Now, in fact, with our Ultimate Transformation Program, we guarantee, yes, guarantee, that you'll lose at least 10 pounds within 6 weeks, or your program is free until you do. Now, go ahead and visit our website at missionviejofitbody.com. Now, thanks, and back to the show.
Yeah, 100%. Well, holy smokes, there's a lot to unpack there, and there's a couple of there's a lot of really big takeaways that I took just specifically from your story. And I'm curious because I know there's probably a lot of people at home that are going to be watching this episode that have felt, the way that you felt at a bunch of the different stages in your life. So you've overcome, holy smokes, like a laundry list of things, and it's incredible. So kudos to you, and I just want you to know that I'm so proud of you, and like the steps that you've taken to where you're at today is just really remarkable. But one of the first ones that I kind of wanted to tackle was that feeling of, I need to be the skinny one in the room. I need to look a certain way, and that's just the mentality that you have. I can guarantee you a lot of people watching this episode feel the same way. So I'm curious, with the knowledge that you have now after years and years and years of overcoming and going through all the experiences that you have, what would you have told that Chris, that the 17-year-old Chris that felt like, hey, I just need to be the thinnest one in the room, and all I need to do is not starve myself, so I need to be so skinny. What's some advice that you would give to her? Maybe help the people at home watching this episode.
Yeah. I probably would have said to her, you can be loved at any size. It's not your size that makes you lovable. It's who you are and how you give to people and how you learn to receive. They're all important.
Definitely. Well, that's really, really important, and it's just true. The fact of the matter is, yes, you can be loved at any size. Obviously, I want everyone to be at a healthy body weight and a healthy body fat percentage. But at the end of the day, anybody can be loved, and I think that's a really, really important point. Yeah. And so if anybody's struggling at home, just remember that you can be loved no matter what, and you should be loved no matter what. So I truly do believe that, and I think that's really, really awesome. Something else that I took away, so I know you said you dealt with your own eating disorders and you help people now overcome those eating disorders. Yeah. So can you shed just a little bit of light on kind of how overcoming that went for you? I'm sure it was really, really hard, and maybe just some steps that you took and kind of how maybe your diet looks now as compared to back then when you were starving yourself and stuff. Yeah.
Well, I think that exercise and diet are the two main things to look at in order to be healthy and happy. And back then, my diet was, up until not so long ago, it was just a diet mentality. And like I said, I felt like I had this disease of lookism, and I do speak to many, many people all over this county. I've gone to many different countries and spoken on eating disorders. And the thing that I share the most, I think, about is no matter what size you are, the first way to approach it is diet. And when I say diet, I'm not talking about losing weight. I'm talking about a healthy plan of eating, coupled with a healthy exercise plan.
Totally.
Neither of which I did before, but something I'm doing now. I've come to Body Fit. I've changed my entire diet since I got here. Just listening to these people here, my friends, they're a great group of women, they are my friends. And talking to the coaches. The coach's mindset here is all about being the best you can be. You don't have to be the same as the person next to you working out or the person who just walked in the door. I remember when I first came here, they gave me this sheet of paper that you filled out, and it talked about what do you want to be, how do you see yourself, and where do you want to be in 6 months. And John, who did that interview with me, I said to him, I know that I look thinner than most of the people, but don't be deceived. I've been, 200 pounds, and the way that I always got it off was not healthy. I said, I'm thinner, but I'm not necessarily as healthy as many of the people who are overweight. So he said, well, then what do you want? I said, I want to be teachable. I want to learn how to eat properly and how to belong to a group that care, and I want to give back to that group.
Definitely. And I think you just brought home a really important part, and it's just the ability to be coachable. So you said teachable, I'm going to use the word coachable because that's like the most successful client success stories I've ever had. So the people that have either lost 100 pounds or or have gained maybe X amount of muscle, they're coachable. They take what their coaches say, and I even say to myself, like as a fitness coach myself, I still need a coach. I still need some direction and guidance. Everybody needs a coach. And so I think it's really, really important to be coachable. Something else that I'm really curious, because it sounds like you've seen both sides. So typically whenever anybody thinks about dieting or going to the gym, they only think about losing weight. So everybody thinks being overweight and losing weight to come down. But you've been on the opposite side, where it sounds like you were underweight and you needed to probably gain some weight.
Yes.
So I'm curious, just kind of looking at both of those. So like maybe someone's sitting at home and they're thinking like, oh, I'm maybe underweight from where I'm supposed to be at. Like maybe I need to start gaining some weight. Like how should they look at that and approach that? I'm curious if you had any insight to that, because it's very unique that you've been on both ends of the spectrum.
I have, and I think that it doesn't matter whether you're coming from the low end or the high end. I think the most important thing is to come to a place like this. This is where it starts. Bring your thinking and unpack it here. Bring your heart, unpack it here. Bring your story, unpack it here. There is nothing you can't do here. There's nothing you can say wrong here. There's no technique that you should know, because the coaches come around and they tell you. I mean, I know because they come to me constantly, and I love it. I don't like taking their time, but I do like the fact they'll go, Chris, you got to bring your elbows in, or you got to bring your arms up, or you need to be looking down when you're doing this, and that has really helped me. So there's that constant coaching approach, and then the women in the class themselves are super encouraging, and we're all different sizes in this class. It doesn't matter what size you are. I think every woman needs a program like this, because I don't think people realize what this really provides. This is a group growth program.
Definitely.
You are not doing it alone. In fact, if you keep coming, which is the most important thing, that's for me the most important thing. Get out of bed, take my shower, make my bed, do the things that need to be done, and get to the gym. Not any gym. I've been to many gyms. This gym, because this gym does it right for me. It does it right for my heart. It does it right for my soul. It does it right for who I am. This is the best I've ever been. I've put on a little bit of weight. I've gotten muscle tone, which I had zero when I came in here. I had no definition of any muscle. In fact, my husband used to laugh and say, God, do you remember when you were, I used to run 15 miles a day and I was toned, but I was sick.
Definitely.
And so coming here, I've started building some muscle, and not just on my body. It's up here too.
Yeah, totally. And that brings up another point. So I'm just kind of curious if, like, now that you're living this like healthy lifestyle, how has the mental aspect changed? Because I'm sure was probably times when you were in a dark place, and I'm sure there's lots of people watching this episode that are sitting at home in that dark place
Yes.
right now.
Yes.
Like, how do you feel now that you're coming to you're coming to work out 3 times a week and you're freaking consistent as the day is long?
You tell, I'm like
Absolutely
a
love
horse
it.
who wants to get out of the...
Yeah, totally.
Because this is the biggest part that's changed for me is depression.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know it, but I think I suffered with depression my whole life. And the way I got out of it was counseling people.
Mm-hmm.
When I help others, I feel better. And that was the one thing that when I came in here, I thought, it's gonna help me. Because when I get out of the way of myself and I start giving away,
Mm-hmm.
encouraging others like they did me, I feel fantastic and I'm not depressed. So I found out the solution to depression is getting into action. It's showing up no matter what.
I love that.
You never quit on yourself. You show up no matter what. And you be honest about what your goals are. If you don't really have the goal to lose weight, and I'm saying this because I've met a lot of people who say, oh, Chris, I wish I could lose weight. Here's my belief. If you show up at a gym like this, there's no way you cannot lose weight. It would be impossible, even if you haven't changed your diet. I would encourage anybody, if you're fighting with your food, let it go. Don't worry about it too much. Worry about the consistency of coming to the gym and working in a group with proper technique, proper fun, and people are really open and honest. Get here and let the rest unfold, because it is an unpacking job. Because when I first came, I was severely depressed.
Mm-hmm.
When I first came, my diet was still terrible. And I thought, well, how am I going to do this? But I got something out of it, went right away. It's you show up, you do the workout, and you feel better after. You don't feel better before when you're thinking about going to the gym. When I think about going to the gym, I think, oh, anybody can think that, because that's the way we are as human beings. It's a natural trait, I think, to sort of be despondent before you do something. But after the workout, it's always after the workout that you get the good feelings.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my message to people is don't wait for the miracle to happen. Be the miracle. Come every day and be your own miracle. Bring the goods. Don't come looking for the goods. Bring yourself, because you're the most precious. And when you get here, do the workout, make the friends, and watch your body go the direction it's supposed to go. I really believe that people can be the body they're supposed to have by doing what they're supposed to be doing. And that's showing up and letting the rest, because I've noticed as I've come, I started getting an interest in what my nutrition should be like. I didn't when I walked in the door. I was all about, okay, well, let's try this exercise thing. Then, about a month, 6 weeks ago, I started thinking about nutrition. I'm eating shitty, excuse my language, but it's not a good diet. So I'm eating more meals a day. I've already had 3 meals today. That's unbelievable. For me, at 12:30, I'd already eaten 3 big meals.
Yeah.
I never do that.
Totally.
Do you know where I got that from?
Where?
You and John.
Oh, no way. I know
Yeah,
these guys.
just talking to you guys at the desk for 2 minutes and asking questions, even though I feel like I'm bothering you. I've gotten so much information that I've gone home and said, okay, you need to go to the grocery store. And that's where it began for me. I went to the grocery store and I bought a bunch of meat. I don't normally eat meat. I bought hamburger meat, turkey meat, you name it, anything that had the word meat on it. And I've been cooking it every day, which I never did.
Yeah.
I was a carb eater. I don't mind cooking pasta, I don't mind chips, dip, but not healthy eating. Nothing that feeds the muscle. And then one day John said to me, you're not feeding your muscles. If you work out and you don't feed your muscles, I said, well, I'll gain weight. No, if you're working out and you're feeding the muscle, you'll gain muscle weight. So,
Totally.
And that's exactly what's happened. I've gained a little bit of weight, but I'm feeling more energetic.
That's so true. And I'm again just wanted to say so proud of you for all how far you've come. It's been so awesome, and even just in the last 4 months, I've seen an incredible difference in you, and not only just you, the rest of our awesome Fit Body Forever family. It's like one of my favorite sessions to coach. You guys are always so awesome and always working super hard. So I'm super excited to hear you're getting value from it and that your life is changing because of it, and that's exactly why we do what we do. So as we bring this episode to a close, I got one more question for you, and it's just, do you have any parting wisdom for Chris maybe 6 months ago that's sitting at home and like is miserable, like isn't in the right state of mind, like is not living a healthy lifestyle? Do you have any advice that you can give our viewers at home that can help them flip that switch and to make the commitment?
I would probably say, don't let anything like money, time, or any other reasons stop you from coming and looking at this place. This place is not 24-hour fitness. It is not Gold's. It's not like anything they have ever seen before. We work out as a group. As a group, we get healthy. As a group, we encourage, and I would say my best part of wisdom, I would say, is come, please come. Please, I mean, I even advertise in Kodo, where I live, which is way out there. I put it on my Facebook page, your videos. And I think that the most important thing is if you see the ad, show up.
I love that. Well, Chris, this has been such an awesome episode. I know you helped a lot of people at home, so thank you so much for being here today. We really do appreciate it. And if you guys got value from this episode, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and even better so, share this with a friend. So if you have anybody that reminds you of Chris, maybe you're feeling a little bit like Chris, share Chris's story because it deserves to be out there. And we will see you guys in the next episode.